Hello and welcome to Prairie Pulse. Our guest on the show today is West Fargo Mayor Rich Mattern. Rich, thanks so much for joining us today.
Glad to be here, and thanks for asking.
Well, as we get started, tell the folks a little bit about yourself, your background, where you're originally from.
Well, I am originally from Strasburg, North Dakota, and hi to all my friends in Emmons County. What few of them are still left. But moved on from there to the University of North Dakota and did a journalism degree there. Then I got into television in Bismarck and here in Fargo, and then moved on to NDSU and got my master's degree there, and I've been working there ever since as an information specialist in the NDSU Agriculture Communication Department.
Okay. But how did you become mayor? And of course, you said you're coming up on 12 years now as being mayor of West Fargo.
Well, I always, when I was a reporter out in Bismarck, I've always been kind of interested in politics. And when as a reporter out at KXNB in Bismarck, I had an opportunity to cover some legislative sessions, and that really kind of lit the fire under me. And I said, someday, if I ever get out of broadcasting, I'm going to see if I can run for office. And I came home one day and I knew an election was coming up in West Fargo, and had lived in West Fargo since 1979. I told my wife that, I'd really like to run for city commission in West Fargo, and thinking she'd tell me to, drop dead or something. And she said, well, I'll support you and I'll help with your campaign, and the rest went from there.
Okay, well, I may come back to some things on that, but I understand you're running for re-election this year, and I know you've cited some things that you'd like to see get done, to get re-elected. What are those?
Well, oddly enough, years ago, when one of my first campaign promises was to see Main Avenue done, and it took a little longer than we thought, based on the economic times. The federal dollars just weren't there. And next year we're starting the last phase of Main Avenue reconstruction. And we're also working real hard, or trying real hard, to get a downtown business association going. Another factor is we're looking at is a water treatment plant. Right now we're using aquifers, and slowly as the population grows, we're mining those aquifers. And so the State Water Commission has kind of asked us to take a look sooner than we thought about looking at building a water treatment plant.
Okay. And how many employees does the city have?
It varies between summer, when we hire some part-time, about 110, 120.
And who are the various members of the city council?
Well, we have Commissioners Mark Simmons, Dwayne Hanson, Mark Wentz, and Mike Thorstad. So we run on a commission form of government. Each of the commissioners has a portfolio, and mine as mayor is finance and city hall, budgetary items, and running city hall.
Here was sort of my follow-up. You've been there 12 years. What have been the changes that you've seen in the 12 years you've been there as mayor?
Oh, it's been dramatic. It seems like, we're building a school a month, and the housing, we've doubled in size since then. And even at City Hall, when I started there, the library was in the City Hall complex, and now that's in a different location. So we remodeled and moved in there, and we thought we're good to go for 20 years. Well, about 8 years later, we're remodeled again, and now we're adding a new police department, which is going to start this spring and should be done next year. So, and the growth has just been phenomenal.
Well, that's what we were turning to next. Talk about, about where has the growth been, and where is that located?
Well, we're a lot like Fargo in that most of our growth has been to the south. And we've seen along Cheyenne Street, and now Veterans Boulevard is the hot spot to be. There's all kinds of developments in that area. A lot of the schools are going into that area, and on the Veterans Boulevard, the east side is Fargo, the west side is West Fargo. And we always kind of thought that it wouldn't really explode in that area until Sanford Health built their new hospital. but it's come a lot sooner than we anticipated. And the starting big box that came was Costco. If you've ever, and when you look and drive down that area and all of a sudden you're running into new schools, housing has just exploded in that area too. And so there's been a lot of businesses coming in, a lot of interest. You know, I was asked the other day, well, tell us about some of the companies that are coming in. And I always say, you know, I can't tell you anything until they sign on the dotted line, because I've mentioned some and then they backed out in the last minute. So unless they sign, I'm not telling you anything.
Well, there you go. My next question was, what kind of growth are you seeing in terms of homes and businesses both?
Well, that's a very good question. You know, realistically, we are retail poor. West Fargo, we've you know, there's a balance that you kind of want almost as many businesses as homes. And in 1992, we were at 30% business retail and 70% homes. And through those years, we've just exploded with businesses. Today, we are at 29% retail and 71% homes. And the retail just can't keep up with the homes. And so, you know, it's just, we have an economic development director that is working real hard, and we're getting businesses, but the housing explosion has just kept almost ahead of the pace of the retail for the formula.
What kind of incentives do you have for homeowners and businesses?
Well, we have some tax increment financing. Most of the business incentives are really state programs that we take, PACE programs, and for the homeowners, we have first-time 2-year property tax break for first-time home buyers, and that has worked out to get young people into our communities, and the same with Fargo too. The one thing we've worked really hard at over the last few years, is that at one time we hardly had any senior housing. And we have now added a great deal of senior housing for all income types. And let's face it, I'm not getting any younger, neither are you. Maybe you are, I don't know. But, you know, so that was a high priority. And I think our planning and zoning and the commission has done a real good, and along with the partnership with our developers, in getting housing that is high-end, medium, and lower-end housing to strike a balance. And Larry Weil has done an outstanding job. He's our planning director of doing just that.
Okay. Well, you talked about the growth and you gave us those percentages, but so why is West Fargo seeing this kind of growth, in your opinion?
Well, I'd like to think that City Hall is mean and lean, and that we work closely with the developers. I always say a happy developer is a happy mayor. And part of it is the diversion. I'll be honest, I think that's probably the biggest reason. No flood insurance needed. And so that is one of the big reasons. And, you know, a lot of people will tell you, even though we've exploded in growth, that Fargo still has that sort of, quote, small town feel. Some would disagree. I'd still like to agree with that philosophy, that we try to keep that. We like to go with the idea that, you know, people call City Hall and they call the mayor's office, they are actually moving directly to my cell phone. You know, so I answer the phone if I can, if I'm not in a meeting or something like that. And I think it's that kind of service that people like. And there's all kinds of pieces of the puzzle. It's all a puzzle, whether it's sanitation or how you plow the streets. That's all part of the puzzle. And we're in the business of serving the public, who are our bosses. So why wouldn't you try to please them as much as you can? You know, so that's kind of the reasoning, I think, that we're doing really well.
Okay. Well, how far west and I guess south can West Fargo grow? And are there any lines that would stop it in growth?
Yes, we're bumped up to the south. against Horace, to the east against Fargo, and to the west against the diversion. So right now we're thinking that the city will be full around the 45,000 mark. So, and that appears to be coming quicker than we thought. And so, you know, there's room for us to grow to the north. And I think we've already started thinking, you know, we could grow to the north and have some land there. Beautiful river lots there that are still out of the floodplain. And how do you market that when everybody's thinking is we got to go south? Fargo's going south, Moorhead's going south, we're going south. How do you get people to start thinking, let's move north?
Well, I know that in the past there's been maybe some sparring back and forth with Fargo over where those dividing lines actually fall. Can you clarify this for us?
Well, you know, I just mentioned where the boundaries are. That annexation, quote, people call it a battle. Well, there was some pretty heavy discussion in those days. That annexation type thing happened 2 weeks after I became mayor. And I said to myself, what am I getting myself into here? And those boundaries have kind of been set now. And so, you know, I think at that time it caused some rather hard feelings between the two communities, but I think we're over that now and we've moved on.
Well, maybe you just answered the question. So is there a rivalry between West Fargo and Fargo, or is that kind of overblown a little bit?
Well, you know, it's kind of, and that's a real good question. We cooperate in a lot of things, and but there's always going to be a little bit of rivalry to get people or businesses to come to your community. And I think in the long run, that favors the consumer. As far as kind of that, it's kind of like I'd like to liken it to brothers, sort of a rivalry. You know, you get into a fight once in a while, but you know that's just the way it is as you're growing up. But I don't want. I think our relationship with Dilworth, Moorhead, Fargo, and between all of us, I think is really well, and so I'm really happy with it. But there's always going to be a little natural rivalry. You know, I want the Costco store, and now you got it. You know, and stuff like that, which is it's friendly rivalry is what I'd like to call it.
Because I guess I wanted, you're talking about it, and I'm glad you mentioned the four cities, because there is that metro area with Dilworth, Moorhead, Fargo, and West Fargo, and coming together. I mean, the mayors meet for breakfast. You know, you have a huge audience out there, and y'all get a chance. So there is a lot of cooperation. I'll even say that with the four communities.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. We all, and people don't realize how much cooperation. The police departments, the sheriff's departments, the fire departments, all of us have to work together. You know, to make things work, and schools even do some things together, and people don't realize that, and it doesn't really make the news, but there's a lot more cooperation going on among the cities than people think. Even some of the ordinances, we kind of work together on them so that we're all the same in the metro area, and so yeah, and that's a very good question. People just don't realize how much cooperation there is.
Mm-hmm. You talked about schools and schools changing a lot. Can you talk about the new school? And I guess Cheyenne will give you the names or the area. You know, what areas does it serve and who will it serve?
Well, the new high school is what I think you're talking about. Cheyenne High School is just off of Veterans Boulevard. Most of the students that will be going to that school will be from south of the interstate, and and you know, it seems like we're building a school a week out there, and I'm not sure if they're going to keep up with all the names that they can come up with. But it's an interesting point about that. You know, earlier I talked about that small town feel. Well, a lot of West Fargo has always centered around the West Fargo Packers. And so there was, you know, the people voted for a bond issue because they knew a new high school was needed. But there was been a lot of kind of, is this going to tear the fabric of the city apart, and I don't think it will. There obviously is going to be a split in the teams, and but it gives, on the other hand, it gives a lot of young people more opportunities, band, theater, those kinds of things, and I think people will find that it's going to work out better than they think, and I'm looking forward to kind of that natural rivalry between the two schools. And I know it's, my concern a little bit is this going to cause kind of a north-south rift in the people? So I think it's not really our responsibility, but I think we need to work on not allowing that to happen as a school district and as a city. Mm-hmm. So,
well, how about other new schools, recent schools, or schools in the future with your population growth? I mean, can you update us on this?
Well, there is Legacy School is being built and opening soon, and as I mentioned, it just seems like we keep building. And Superintendent Flowers, I talked to him not too long ago. They're already talking about a third high school, and you kind of go, whoa, wait a minute here, you know. And but you know, the one thing, our general, I don't have the numbers with me, but our general population average age average is getting younger, and that tells me something that you know, there's going to be more young people, and which is a good thing, because if there's anything we need to do is keep attracting young people. You know, that's probably in the metro area the number one problem we have is we're getting this population boom, but there's so many companies in West Fargo and the entire metro area that can't find employees. I've got a couple of major companies in West Fargo that would expand if they could find the employees. And you kind of go, well, people are moving here left and right, but that also creates more jobs, and it just kind of feeds on itself. So getting those young people into our communities, whether it's Moorhead, Dilworth, or Fargo or West Fargo, I think is really important, very important. It's high on my priority list. And these young people are looking for parks, bike paths, quality of life issues, almost more so than financial issues. Of course, they all want to make some money, but we've discovered that those are really important to our young people, are those amenities. And so I think all the metro areas are trying really hard to provide those.
Okay. With that, though, and this is sort of there are some schools in West Fargo that actually have people that live in Fargo.
Yes.
So does the city get involved with the schools in drawing the lines as to what school you will attend?
No, that is entirely a school district issue, and thank heavens for that. We don't have to get involved. What we do, though, is staff, Park District, School District, and city staff meet at least on a quarterly basis to talk about common issues that may be coming up, what's coming up infrastructure-wise, what's needed, how are we going to do this, and I see that as a very good opportunity for us to help us come together so that we're all on the same page.
Okay. Well, let's move on to some other things. What's your opinion of the newly proposed gated community in West Fargo?
Well, it's a very good question. It has caused a lot of discussion, whether you like it or not. You know, in some places, that's just kind of a regular way of life. And I get that there aren't many in North Dakota. We are going to have 2 of them, but the one has got 7 homes in it, and the other one has 10. So if to me, it would be a larger issue if it were, say, 300 homes or 200 or whatever. But I don't think, as I understand it, there's not going to be guards there. It's just kind of make it look nicer, I would say, or something like that. So I don't see that really as a major issue. If it were a larger 50, 100 homes, then I'd be looking at it a little. But when they came in with the 10 and the 7, and the one with 7 is surrounded on 3 sides by water, And so, you know, it's not as major as I think people have made it, you know.
Okay. What about the fairgrounds? How important is that to the West Fargo? What kind of impact does it have for each, especially in the summer, obviously?
Yeah. Again, you know, they're side by side. Bonanzaville and the fairgrounds are side by side, and both are kind of different attractions. But it leads me back to what I said earlier. The more amenities that you have, such as the fairgrounds and Bonanzaville, it's more opportunities for entertainment, which offers something for quality of life. Not everybody likes to go to Bonanzaville, not everybody likes the fair, but it's there, and it's an opportunity to get out and have a corn dog or whatever and see some entertainment. And just like Blue Stem in Moorhead, they'll be having concerts there, and they have all kinds, and everything that we can do to improve that quality of life and provide more things to do enhances the quality of life, and I think helps keep people here and helps our communities grow. So, to make a long story short, the fairgrounds in Bonanzaville are very, very important to West Fargo, and I think the whole metro region.
Okay, fair enough. Can you talk about West Fargo's tax rates compared to, say, you know, Fargo or even Moorhead in terms of home buying and attracting those businesses again?
Well, again, we do have some state incentives, and our tax rate, you know, when you look at it, you can always look and kind of this is what our water rates are a little less, are less than Fargo and Moorhead. Or you can make the numbers work however you want them to. The one thing that Fargo and West Fargo are blessed with is a booming economy and money coming into the coffers of North Dakota. Minnesota is now doing a lot better too. But be that as it may, you know, our taxes, when the legislature put in a lot of money to buy down school taxes, and that's a good thing. My property taxes went down. And I think, how can you not smile when you, that's how I gauge my popularity, was when the property tax bills come out. It kind of goes down a little bit when they come out. But so I think here in the North Dakota side, we've really been blessed with that oil boom, and agriculture is really booming. And you know, we have all the universities here, and the high tech stuff is coming. And so, you know, I think life is good. Sometimes the weather isn't the best, but life is good here.
What about sales tax in West Fargo?
Well, we are bringing that issue up in June. We have a lot of infrastructure needs, and so we are going to ask the residents if they'd allow us to raise the sales tax 1%, and that would put us equal with Fargo, and it would be for some infrastructure needs and possibly help with a water treatment plant down the road. And so we're asking our residents to vote on that issue in the June primary. And they'll let us know how they feel. Okay. And I think that's a fair way to do it.
And of course, with all this growth, there has to be crime. I mean, I hate to say it that way, but you know, usually with that much growth, there's probably increased crime. What about the crime in West Fargo?
Well, you know, you're right. With an increased population, there's going to be, unfortunately, probably a little more crime. But, you know, there's some, and I don't have specific examples, but there's been some robberies that have made the front page of the newspaper. That wouldn't even make it on the back page of the Minneapolis Tribune, you know. So, yes, the crime has increased, and there's no doubt about it. But compared to other areas of the country, I don't want to mention specific town like Detroit, you know, we're doing well here. And I think there again, the law enforcement agencies, they work together and to solve these crimes. So, and our murder rate is still well below the national average.
With that said, don't have a lot of time left. Why do you like living in West Fargo?
I've always liked living in West Fargo. I moved here in 1979 and spent it all in West Fargo, and I just thought it was a great community to be in, and I've always liked it. And you know, I get back to that small town feel. I always like to use the example. One time, I packed up the family. We were leaving for the weekend, and when I got back, a neighbor from across the street came across, and he says, "I hope you didn't mind that I closed your garage door, because when you left, it went back up." And so the neighbor lady called down to him, and he went over and closed the garage door. And I love to use that example of what I like about West Fargo.
Mayor, we're out of time, but thanks so much for joining us.
Sure, glad to
today.
be here. It was a great discussion.
Well, that's all we have on Prairie Post this week, and as always, thanks for watching.